Finally, the African Union has decided to engage in dialogue with the leaders of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Yes, it has been a long overdue, but finally they have seen that there is no other way but to engage in dialogue. Hello, I am Mahlet Ayele, your host at Connect Africa, bringing you the latest from the continent, and particularly as we follow on daily basis what's happening in the Sahel states or in the Sahel Alliance states. So the African Union adopted this in its meeting at the end of last month. This is the Peace and Security Council on it is 1212 meeting that they have adopted this, meaning they have passed briefings on not only on Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, but also on Gabon and Guinea, where they think that the power or the leaders that are now are transitional and they have taken power unconstitutionally. Well, there are also constitutional coup, if the African Union knows, but they just give a deaf ear for that. Anyway, let me go ahead and share with you this constitution or press release by the African Union. It's from their website. Here it is. Yeah. As you can see, it's a communique of the 1212th meeting of the Peace and Security Council held on 20 May on updated briefings on the political transition in Burkina Faso, Gabon, Guinea, Mali, and Niger. And when those briefings pass, reaffirming, recalling our action on this date, on this article, this and that. So finally, what they are requesting the African Union itself to do is that here is what they're asking. So there is a specific question to the union. So it says it requests us, let me just read it out. The Commission to urgently organize a fact-finding mission to all these countries and to appoint also a high-level mission to go and to talk to these transitional leaders and to find a way to engage in to find a way that these transitional leaders can hand over power to those who are elected or according to them constitutionally. Now, so it requests the chairperson of the African Union Commission to appoint a high-level facilitator at the level of a sitting or former head of state to engage with the transitional authority. So former head of state means usually, I think if I understood it right, for example, you see Olusegun Obasanjo of Nigeria. He's a an elder woman, an elder president who used to be the president of Nigeria. And when conflicts happen, this man has a very massive experience, and most of the time the African Union appoints him to solve this kind of issues. So it might not be necessarily Olusegun Obasanjo of Nigeria, but former heads of state from the continent, they reappoint them to facilitate such peace talk, or dialogue. Now, the thing is that what we have to understand, the African Union, the countries have been banned by ECOWAS first and foremost, because that is a region where they belong to. Secondly, it was immediately that the African Union has banned them from participating any ordinary sessions, their summits or whatever. So ever since 2022, that was a coup that happened in Burkina Faso and Mali. Then 2023, it was Niger. So immediately when this happened, they were banned, and none of the leaders were able to come and participate in any of the meeting or ask any kind of facilitation that the African Union can facilitate to whatever they need, whatever kind of assistance they need. So it was only like observers, maybe their ambassadors in Addis Ababa might have been able to participate in meetings, but of course not as the president level. But maybe the ambassadors could have participated, I would believe, because when African countries appoint ambassadors to Ethiopia, and it's not only to Ethiopia, but also those ambassadors are mostly accredited as well to the African Union. Now, it was really sad for the African Union. Even ECOWAS has taken a lesson, and it has lifted the sanction, for example, on Niger after how many months? Maybe it was in February that it was lifted. So after 8 months, it has lifted the sanction. But AU did not do anything. What they have done is actually, when these countries announced the Sahel Alliance, their departure from ECOWAS, AU came out and gave a press release saying that, it expresses its deep regret that these countries have left ECOWAS. But what I came and reported here at that time was that what option was left for these countries, for these leaders to do? Really, you have banned them. I mean, the neighboring countries or the ECOWAS, that the regions that they belong to, this regional unity that they belong to, have banned them by air, by sea, by land. No trade exchange, which their daily life was depended on, importing foods and also selling foods from them and other kinds of things. I mean, hundreds of trucks on daily basis in West Africa, in ECOWAS region, go in and out of countries delivering foods or fuel, whatever it is needed. So it really affected these countries, as Niger and Burkina Faso said it was inhuman what have been done against them. It was inhuman. So there was no option. And the African Union, as a bigger person, did not try actually to create peace, or to create that peace talk between the big boys of ECOWAS and Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger on the other side. It just come right after ECOWAS banned them. The AU also echoed that, and up until now that is not lifted. I mean, and they said these countries, when they left ECOWAS, they have also mentioned about the African Union, and what they have done is it's against all the principles and the foundation of the organization, because to leave them alone, these countries are fighting neocolonialism. I mean, the very reason Organization of African Unity, it was established in 1963, it's the first purpose was to fight against colonialism, to free those countries that were still under colonialism, and then to integrate economically, to unite also politically and economically. That was the reason, to have that one security system. But still, after even they're free from, although those people have left physically from the continent, but they did not really leave, because still they continue to colonize countries. I mean, indirect or neocolonialism, as we call it. So it is that they are fighting for, they are fighting against this Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger. They said, we cannot entertain this anymore. We want to control our destiny in our hands. France cannot, continue exploiting our resources while we continue to live in dark. I mean, literally in dark. 80% of the Nigerian people are living in dark while their uranium is lighting up the whole Paris and Europe and what have you in the world. I mean, can you imagine that? The same thing with the gold of Mali and Burkina Faso. So they said, enough is enough. If the so-called democratically elected leaders cannot do it. We have waited for 6 decades, but nothing has been changed. I mean, the West Africa is really worse, especially those who were colonized by France. Because France, I mean, for the other countries, we see, okay, they have left physically, but still neocolonialism is there. They continue to colonize us economically. But for the West African states, the French troops are there, the French business people are there, French everything is there. You know, they have tied up with this 11 colonial tax, that a pact that forcefully France has made them to sign, you know, without their will. They say, if you don't sign this, we don't give you independence, that so-called independence on paper. Okay, so for them to fight against this and to be free, it should have been commended by the African Union. It should have been commended by the ECOWAS. But of course, the African Union is funded by those, like the West, including France and others. So they cannot say anything. We all know that how Her Excellency Dr. Arikana Chombori Kwao, who used to be the ambassador of the African Union to the United States, when she spoke that famous revelation, when she spoke against France, how France continued to colonize the countries, what happened the next day on her office? What waited for her was a letter, banning her. I mean, she was no more the ambassador of the African Union to the United States. She was immediately, they made her to resign. That's what they did to her. So let alone, for the African Union to go and support Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. Yeah, it was AU did what it is expected to do, because the African Union, it's funded by those people. And as Thomas Sankara told us, those who feeds you will control you. So it's up to you to be self-sufficient, to feed yourself. Really, I mean, to be able to feed ourselves in Africa, and also to feed yourself in whatever way you can take it. And the same thing for others. So the African Union, it's a long overdue now to come. They have seen there's no other way, because these leaders are embraced by their own people. The people do not want them to resign. In their, I'm going to share it with you. In this communique, they have asked for the transitional government to make a date and then held election. Everybody's worried about election, but we know that that so-called electoral democracy is not working in Africa. When do we realize this? When do we realize this, really? I mean, as much as you call these leaders unconstitutional, what about the African Union talking those who are amending their constitution to stay in power? And that is called what? Constitutional coup? Can we call it like that? I mean, yeah, it's all about just terminology. And I think the African Union should understand that this electoral democracy is not working in the country, and you cannot force. In fact, instead of sticking with this formula by the West of electoral democracy, we should start to look at our own values in the continent. What has been working? Africa has been the kingdom and queendom for thousands of years. Europe has less than 500 years history. So why should we learn from them? Why don't we start to look at internally and to use what we have? Okay, so if it works, if the people are happy the way that these leaders are guiding them and leading them, then why do we even need to change? I know you might say that now this could set a precedent for others, okay, to have to make a coup, and then the next day that one should say, oh, the African Union also should validate that. No, I am not saying that. There must be a way to assess what do the citizens of Africa need. If it's not that leader that comes through electoral democracy, then it shouldn't be, because at the end of the day, that leader is going to work for the people. Yeah, that's as much as what I can say. But well done, finally to appoint this high level mission to go and to engage this. And the AU also in its communique requests the whereabouts of those ousted presidents. I mean, this is a message from Macron, I'm sure. And it's really amazing. Just as the African Union, you have a lot to do. Just mind your business. That's it. But it's important that finally they have acknowledged that there must be now. We cannot continue to alienate them. We have to engage them. Engage. Exactly. Even for those countries who are not from the Sahel states, when there is a problem in East Africa, South Africa, instead of hearing the mainstream media or the whatever, it's better to engage our own leader. For example, if Ethiopia has a problem with Kenya, then the Prime Minister of Ethiopia should find a way to engage the Kenyan leader, or send your ambassador in Nairobi to talk to the government of Kenya. Engaging is the most important thing. When you engage, you clear a lot of things, and then the enemy outside of the continent will sit hand folded, because now you two are directly talking. There is no need to come and intervene. Thank you again, all of you, for tuning in, for rooting. Seeing this, it has been so long since we have seen you here. Thank you for coming. It's good to see you here, or to have you here. Greta Woodson, hello, how are you? Yeah, Greta has been here on daily basis these days. AU is afraid the countries may choose to withdraw membership, same as they did withdraw from ECOWAS. Yeah, you reminded me saying that's actually a good point, because I came here at that time and I said, in fact, these countries do not need ECOWAS, do not need the African Union, because they have a bigger platform, a bigger thing. They are after a bigger dream, a bigger purpose that even the African Union should learn from them, even the ECOWAS should learn from them. Yeah, so it's true. I mean, they should leave the African Union as well. I mean, I'm literally advocating this on this platform. I can't believe. But of course, I'm a believer also. As much as I'm disappointed by the African Union, I am also one of those people who say we cannot give up on this biggest Pan-African organization. I mean, we have to continue to fight for it to work really on the agenda of Pan-Africanism instead of serving and then those non-state actors who are outside of the continent. So we cannot give up on it. Prince Tunen Mondesir, hello. Coordination, yeah, Django Sambo. So Obasanjo served the colonial criminals as Tinubu and his fellow Freemasonry slaves are doing today. His mission are made in the West before his travel. Yeah, but I mean, it's not Obasanjo that is appointed, but it requests in the communique for the chairperson, Musa Fati Mohammed. Okay, anyway, to appoint a former head of state from the continent. Who would that be? We don't know yet. Great, I agree. What else could they do? Yeah, exactly. There is no option left for these people. I'm 64 years of age. I remember when Africa was self-sufficient. True, thank you. Yeah. During colonization, democracy was not allowed. At independence, the colonizers were at the forefront pushing for democracy. Yeah. Zampal, hello. Time to stop stomach politics. Yeah, and protect Africa's resources. This is what they are doing. If we don't handle our independence very well, colonizers will come back in the form of investor. True. Mwansa Kipuwempe, former Zambian. Vice President. Guada9, hello. Oh, thank you very much for reminding the people to hit that like button. I need it. So go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Hello, John Bennett. I like to react with our audiences here. Okay, so hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified. Subscribe to the channel. Give it thumbs up if you like what we bring you here. And yeah, what else? If you want to help us further, which is really needed, you can go ahead and donate to our PayPal account. You can find it in the description section. Thank you again, all of you. I will see you on the next one. I have an important update on BRICS, so tune in. In an hour time, I'm gonna come back. Ciao, ciao.